Zhang Yi stared at his phone, a bitter smile curling his lips as he replayed the memory of his previous life's fatal mistake. He had once tried to be generous, handing out a few cans of food to neighbors, only to be betrayed and murdered when they assumed he hoarded a mountain of supplies. Now, with the blizzard still raging, he sent a lazy voice message to Aunt Lin, mocking her desperation. "That's great. We've run out of food. Aunt Lin, when you collect supplies, please share some with me." The old woman erupted in a torrent of curses, accusing him of being the warehouse manager who must be sitting on a hidden cache. Zhang Yi answered with scorn, refusing to hand over anything and even demanding a few packs of instant noodles as a joke, while reminding her that the neighborhood committee held no real authority. Their exchange grew louder, with Aunt Lin invoking the organization and threatening punishment, only for Zhang Yi to tear apart her pretensions, labeling the committee members as mere social workers and dismissing her as a gopher. He ended the call, blocked her, and turned back to his own routine, indifferent to the chaos he had helped ignite. Aunt Lin's fury boiled over. She imagined herself a leader, yet she could not physically confront Zhang Yi. She considered expelling him from the residence chat, but realized that would only expose his refusal to surrender supplies, undermining her own schemes. Instead, she resolved to deceive the other households, promising a uniform distribution while secretly hoarding whatever she could wrest from them. Over the next 2 days she mixed gentle coaxing with outright intimidation, managing to extract food and fuel from several families, though many residents either ignored her or shouted her away. The troublemakers, Chen Zhanghao and Su Hao, were left untouched, as Aunt Lin lacked the courage to approach their doors. From his fortified perch, Zhang Yi watched the whole drama unfold on his security monitors, yet he chose not to intervene, content to observe the panic without offering aid. 5 days had passed since the storm swallowed the city, and the building's ordinary apartments were rapidly exhausting their meager 3 to 5 day stores. The bitter cold forced residents to burn fuel for heat, accelerating consumption and turning the communal chat into a battlefield of accusations. Voices rose, demanding clarification on how the seized supplies would be divided, citing earlier promises of equal sharing. The messages flooded the group, but Aunt Lin remained silent, clutching her grandson beneath layers of blankets, her eyes fixed on the dwindling hoard she had fought so hard to acquire. She whispered to herself that she could never return what she had worked for, even as the building's morale crumbled around her. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi continued his daily firearms drills and video games, his apartment's climate held steady at 20 degrees by 2 silent generators. The security cameras captured every desperate knock on doors and every whispered plea in the chat, but he stayed detached, his only interaction a final, contemptuous block of Aunt Lin's number. The building's infrastructure remained dead outside his walls, power and water grids offline, temperatures in other units plunging below -50 degrees, and the only light of hope flickering in the distant promise of a rescue that seemed ever more unlikely. The conflict between the self-preserving hoarder and the starving residents deepened, setting the stage for an inevitable clash as the blizzard showed no sign of abating. In the quiet of his fortified sanctuary, Zhang Yi reflected on the irony of his situation. He had become the very obstacle Aunt Lin despised, a lone wolf with enough resources to survive, yet unwilling to share. The old woman's desperate scheming and the building's growing unrest hinted at a breaking point that could either force a reluctant alliance or spark a violent showdown, leaving the fate of the remaining survivors hanging in the frigid air. The moment Aunt Lin ignored the frantic calls from the building's residents, the truth of her deception burst into the group chat like a cold wind. Neighbors, finally realizing they had been duped, flooded the chat with polite greetings that thinly veiled their anger, while the underlying resentment grew louder with each message. Aunt Lin, seated in her modest kitchen with her grandson Xiao munching on cookies, heard the phone ring and, assuming it was another scammed resident, answered with disdain. The caller's name, however, sent a shiver down her spine, Chen Zhanghao, the notorious gangster whose broken leg she had once shot. His voice dripped with contempt as he praised her skill at gathering supplies, then demanded that she hand over the hoarded food to his starving family. Aunt Lin tried to cling to the flimsy authority of her committee position, stammering that the supplies were still being coordinated and that some families had not yet turned theirs in. Chen Zhanghao's patience evaporated, and he hurled insults, calling her an old hag and threatening to take the goods by force. The conversation ended with his cold laugh and a promise to come for the supplies himself. The call left Aunt Lin trembling, her eyes wide with fear, as she realized that the bully she had once preyed upon was now the predator. Within minutes, Chen Zhanghao mobilized his henchmen, summoning them to his house to share warmth and tend to the sick, a small mercy amid the brutal cold. He armed himself with a mop serving as a crutch and a baseball bat clenched in his other hand, then led the ragtag group toward Aunt Lin's apartment. From his fortified 24th floor perch, Zhang Yi watched the entire confrontation unfold on his security monitors, munching potato chips and commenting that a dog-eat-dog fight was about to begin. He felt a twisted excitement, wondering what would happen if he broadcast the scene to the building's chat, and he pressed the record button, eager to capture the drama. The gang arrived at Aunt Lin's door, a solid security door meant to deter thieves but useless against a coordinated assault. They battered the lock with baseball bats, steel bars, and crowbars, shattering it in seconds. The makeshift barricade of a table and sofa that Aunt Lin had thrust in front of the entrance crumbled under the onslaught. As the door gave way, Zhang Yi saw Aunt Lin's face pale and terrified, her earlier contempt replaced by raw panic. The intruders surged inside, their intentions clear: to seize the supplies she had hoarded and to punish the deceitful committee member who had tried to hold them hostage. While the chaos unfolded, the building's chat continued to erupt with accusations, demands for equitable distribution, and bitter commentary about Aunt Lin's betrayal. Zhang Yi, still detached in his safe haven, remained a silent observer, his cameras capturing every moment, his mind already plotting the next move in this escalating power struggle. The 5-day blizzard raged outside, but inside the Yuelu residential area, a new, violent chapter of survival and betrayal had just begun. Zhang Yi, perched in his fortified 24th floor apartment, heard Aunt Lin's pig-like screams echo through the hallway. Chen Zhenghao burst into her apartment, slapping the old woman across the face and shouting that she had cheated the neighbors out of their hard-won supplies. He ordered his henchmen to ransack every corner, and they soon uncovered piles of instant noodles, bread, biscuits, bottled water and other hoarded provisions. The men laughed as they filled their bags, their cruelty amplified by the cold that seeped through the broken door. Grandma Lin, clutching Chen's leg and pleading for the life-sustaining stock, was met with a cold sneer and a brutal kick to the face that sent her sprawling. At the same moment Xiaohu, Lin's grandson, erupted from the bedroom, his eyes blazing after discovering his hidden chocolate cookies had been found. He brandished a fruit knife and stabbed a small boy in the buttocks, a wound that could prove fatal in the -50°C air. The boy's scream provoked little Karami, nicknamed Fifth Brother, who, in a frenzy, kicked another child, Little Tiger, with such force that the youngster flew into a wall and crumpled on the floor. The scene drew uproarious laughter from Chen and his crew, who praised the amazing legwork and filmed the chaos for their own amusement. Aunt Lin, bloodied and bruised, tried to feign death but could not ignore her grandson's desperate cries. Chen Zhenghao pointed at her, declaring that this was divine retribution for her deceit, and the gang departed with their loot, leaving the Lin family battered and the apartment in shambles. Zhang Yi watched the carnage on his security feeds, a cold smile forming as he noted the collapse of any remaining veneer of civilized order within the building. He felt a detached satisfaction, aware that the crack in the social fabric would only widen, inviting ever harsher confrontations over the dwindling supplies. Later, Zhang Yi uploaded the recorded footage to the residents' group chat. The video sparked a wave of gloating messages. Many condemned Aunt Lin as a liar, some hailed Chen Zhenghao as a heroic enforcer, while a few warned that today's raid could become tomorrow's. Unmoved, Zhang Yi closed the chat, retrieved a target from his alternate dimension storage, and began practicing with his crossbow and compound bow, reinforcing his resolve that survival demanded constant vigilance and skill, even in a fortress that already felt like an iron citadel.